Hi, today we're working with this illustration here as part of a larger illustration. This is a Hawaiian tiki that I traced sort of from a photograph, and I used auto trace for a lot of this. As you can see, it needs some more work. And then some of this stuff I drew in myself because the auto trace just wasn't cutting it. But the reason I'm mentioning auto trace is because I decided I wanted to see what it would look like if I turned his mouth red. So when I tried to do that, I realized that his mouth is part of his head, the rest of the head. And so the first thing I did was check to see if this might be a group of objects that I could simply ungroup, and then I'd be on my merry way. But it isn't. This is one single object. So my next idea was I'd come up here, arrange, and break the curve apart. Of course I lose my eyes and my nose, but to get those back, I'm just going to marquee select them, hold down shift and select his head, and I'll combine it, and that brings them back. And then I'll turn it black and find out that that didn't do anything. His mouth is still connected to the rest. So now I have to figure out what's the matter here. So I'm going to zoom in and let's take a look. I see what's the matter here. Now that I'm in here, I can see that it is connected. It's part of the overall shape. You can see this little skinny line connects his teeth with the rest of his head. And if I take my shape tool and start dragging these nodes away, I can verify that yes, this is part of the same shape. So let's put it back the way it was. And a traditional way of dealing with this would be to start selecting these nodes and go all the way around. But you want to get rid of all the nodes that don't belong and delete them, and little by little you'll start getting rid of all this stuff. I'll zoom back out and we'll do that for a few minutes. I want to go carefully all the way around here, make sure I don't miss anything, make sure I don't get any nodes on his mouth, and up around his head, and then back through here and all the way up. And keep getting rid of nodes. Make sure you keep his mouth there. And then you have to see what's wrong and start eliminating nodes. You're going to get things like this sometimes, depending on how complex it is. You can also get some overlap where part of it turns white and you have to figure out what's part of it and what isn't. I'm going to do something a little bit different, and this is a technique I use all the time. I'll bring him back how he was. I'll zoom back to that little line that connects his mouth with the rest of his head. And now I'm going to do something that you may or may not have seen before, and draw a little tiny square here right to the edge of his teeth. And I'm going to go over here to my trim tool. I'm going to use this little green square to trim my shape here. Just trim it away. And that creates a gap. Get rid of it. I'm going to zoom back out. And I'm going to copy it to my clipboard. Make sure I don't lose anything. So copy. And then I'll go back to arrange, break curve apart, and once again I lose my eyes. But now my mouth is by itself and I can get rid of it. Once again I'll marquee select my eye part and my nose, hold down shift, get the rest of it in there, come up to combine, and that brings them back. Then I'm going to paste the whole thing back down. Remember, I had it on my clipboard, but this time when I break it apart, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all this stuff. now I've achieved my objective. Turn his head black again, turn his mouth red. That's what I wanted to do. And now I can make his mouth whatever color I want. I'll keep it red for now, see if I like that. That is an interesting way and a creative way possibly to use your trim tool in a way that you may or may not have thought it was actually intended to be used. And you can use it to solve a lot of what otherwise would be frustrating problems, such as the one we just encountered. So think of creative ways to use your trim tool. You'll find yourself using it all the time for all different things. And I hope your next project goes well.